Hello everyone and welcome to my third instalment of my property information videos. I've just come back from a very busy half term. It's had my birthday, my son's 6th birthday, and in the background you can see a large 4 balloon. That's my son's 4th birthday as well, all in the space of a week. You may see a lot of cards in the background there too also. Now, today I wanted to talk to you about adding value. Now, when you go on the property portals, you'll notice that there's quite a lot of finished article properties out there. So things that look absolutely stunning on photographs, lovely kitchens, lovely bathrooms, just beautiful property. Now, that's all well and good. And of course, it's great as an agent to get something that's in beautiful tip-top condition. It looks great on the portals and attracts lots of attention. And again, as a purchaser, you'll find yourself drawn to those types of property naturally, because of course they look lovely. Now, my view, certainly, obviously, if you want to buy something, you've got very little time or inclination to do anything, then of course you'd go out and buy something that's already done. Very similar to buying a brand new car off the showroom, or going and buying something secondhand. But of course, you've got to appreciate that when you do buy something that is completely finished, that the only way that that's going to accrue any value is due to the market increasing. Now, when you buy something that may need a little bit of work, not only are you going to be benefiting from the growth in the market, but also hopefully with your improvements, you'll be able to add some value to that property. And that's something which I tend to feel that is something which you should try to combine the two. Of course, everyone is different, but certainly is from my investor hat, something I look at very much. But also I think as first-time buyers, and any particular buyer always should really try to look if there's anything that you can add there. Not always, of course, if you've got something that's new build, again, there's benefits to both. Things which are in terms of ease of use and ease of move in, and some people just don't have the time, wherewithal, or inclination to do it. But what I'll talk about now is just a couple of ways that you can add value to your home. Now, we'll start sort of on the smaller end, and of course that's something like decoration. Now, there are things when you walk into a property sometimes that can seem quite scary. However, they are just cosmetics, and if you look at the fabric of the building, if it's solid and there aren't any structural issues, the cosmetics can be very easily rectified, but they do put off a lot of people. Things like damp. Now, damp is something that comes up. We deal with a lot of Victorian property, very old, over 100 years old. And to be honest, nearly every single one of them will have some form of moisture issue. Now, that is rectifiable. It is a little bit of an expense, but it can be done, and can be done quite quickly and easily. So if you're walking into somewhere and it does feel that it's got a little bit of damp to it, I wouldn't necessarily be hugely put off by it. Of course, it depends on where that damp's coming from. If you've got something like ingress from the roof, that could be quite expensive. So obviously you would need to get a correct survey and get correct advice on that. Other things such as horrible paintwork and decoration, again, very easily rectifiable, something which shouldn't take very long either if you've got a good painter. Moving on to things like kitchens and bathrooms, again, sometimes you may think that that's something which is quite expensive or difficult to rectify, but again, it is pretty simple and can be done quite quickly. An average bathroom suite could be removed and replaced with a new suite probably within the space of a week or two. Same with the kitchen, unless you're doing any form of extension, but if you're just switching out like for like, that again can be done very quickly. So when you're looking at your property, I would be concentrating on looking at things which, you can just add in a little bit of cosmetics, which you may find something out there that looks quite scary, but of course, with a little bit of effort, when you look at the before and after photos, you're normally very shocked. The next point would be to look at how can the original floor plate or the layout be altered or manipulated to create either more space for yourself or more rooms. This again is more possibly from a buy-to-let point of view. Creating more rooms in a property adds value because, of course, in rental, certainly in London, the number of rooms that you have increases the rental return. So something which I've done very successfully a number of times is turning or converting a 3-bedroom flat into a 4-bedroom flat without actually adding any structural space. Now, that's done quite simply by moving a kitchen from a separate kitchen area into a living room. And that creates an open plan kitchen reception room, but also then creates a 4th bedroom or a 3rd bedroom if it's a 2-bed, where the kitchen was before. Can you add a bathroom? Are there areas where you can put in a bathroom within the existing space that you have? En-suites are very popular. Again, depending on whether you're an end user or whether you're a buy-to-let investor. If you're an end user, you might want to have a lovely ensuite to your master bedroom. If you're buying it as a buy-to-let personally, I would always look to try and add that bathroom off a communal space rather than putting it into the bedroom. And the reason for that is that if you are renting to professional sharers, which if you're buying flats or even houses, but majority of you will be buying flats and buy-to-let, that creates more of a lettable property than something that has an ensuite. And the reason for that is that a lot of share groups will have people who are on different budgets, but many don't, and many want to have an equal split. And if you have a bedroom that's got an ensuite, then that room becomes a lot more valuable, and it creates a little bit of a problem if you've got three people who all are earning similar amounts and one doesn't want to pay a little bit extra. So they kind of get a bit put off with that. It also means that you've got, if you've got a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1 ensuite, that means 3 rooms are using 1 bathroom rather than 2 and 2. So that's one thing to look at. Adding bathrooms can really add value to your property. Upgrading a kitchen, making it look cosmetically better, adding better appliances, upgrading your bathrooms, carpets, obviously replacing those. Sometimes, depends if it's a buy-to-let, wooden floors tend to be less maintenance issues with cleaning. Again, that's down to an aesthetics for yourself. And then we can move on to structurals. Now, probably the most valuable structural alteration that you can make is a loft conversion. So if you're buying a flat which has access to, or not access, but has a demise of a loft, this can really pump up the value of that property if you develop it. Now, it's obviously really important to make sure when you're purchasing that property does include the loft as the demise, as opposed to being an access of the loft. You might find that the freeholder actually owns the loft still, and you have to pay quite a significant sum to be able to develop that. So that's definitely worth checking. But if you can find something that has a loft, then you can certainly add a lot of value. Again, if you're able to add that loft and a roof terrace, even better. Other extensions that you can do, a standard Victorian terrace, often it hasn't been developed, will have a side return extension, a side return, which is the sort of L shape part of the garden. So you have the garden at the back, and then they kind of usually probably 1.5 to 1.8 meters wide by probably 4 to 6 meters long. You can take out the wall of the kitchen, push out to the side, creating more space in the kitchen. And the standard would be to put some form of glass doors at the back and have a nice sort of kitchen with a central island. Now, the problem with these types of developments is that they are very expensive, and they become even more expensive because of supply chain issues and just general labour costs and materials within the building trade. I recently had a quote for a side return extension, and the builder was telling me that in the majority he's put up his prices by between 20 and 30%, which is absolutely astronomical. Now you're looking at close to over £100,000 just for a side return, and maybe 70 to 80,000 on the loft. That used to be 50 to 60. So these things are great to be able to do. I think a lot of people get excited about being able to do these kind of extensions, but you have to remember is that if you do them, they are very expensive, and really you should be doing it for your own usage as opposed to thinking about necessarily the added value in the short term. I think in the long term, certainly it will add significant value, but you've got to do it and look at it as probably a 5 to 7 year investment, as opposed to the cosmetics, which we mentioned before, adding a bathroom, improving the layout. Those things can add instant value. So again, all down to your future plans and what you decide to do. So the final point I'll put on that is that really the best way that you can add equity or add value to your home in the end is by negotiating a price at the beginning. Most investors and people that work in that sphere will say that you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. So if you are able to negotiate a good price on the purchase, then already you've added instant equity to your home, and that's not always possible. However, when buying something which has or needs work or is in poor condition, those are probably going to be more open to negotiation than something that is completely finished. But again, these are things to bear in mind. So I hope that's been useful. If you want to get into contact with me at any time, my numbers obviously come up at the start and at the end and will be on my website. My email is jonathan.woods@exp.uk.com. Hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.